Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Safalta School on the YouTube channel. Good afternoon. I hope you're all doing okay. Not very nervous for your exams. Well prepared for your exam on 27th. My name is Nandini and I am your English language trainer over here. I teach you English over here. And we have been bringing these small videos for your revision on an everyday basis. My faculty members are working very hard to bring you these small half an hour, 45 minutes, revision videos for you so that you can revise your entire syllabus for your exams that are starting soon. So before we proceed, I would request all of you to like, share and subscribe, this channel, and also press the bell icon so that, you get notified whenever we start a live video, or you get notified whenever we have posted something on YouTube. Okay, so hi Anushka, good afternoon. Anushka is a student of mine. There's another person, so we are 3 people in the chat right now. Hello to everybody. You can send me a smiley or something in the chat box, or tell me how nervous you are or how nervous you aren't, so that I know who you so that at least I know your names. Anushka, how are you feeling today? The other day you were feeling very nervous. I hope today you're a little better. Hi Raja. How are you? How are you? कैसे हो आप? Alright. Chaliye, let's begin. So today's topic that we are going to cover. Hi Priyanka. Good afternoon. Oh, there are 5 people now. Hello everybody. Please keep joining in and send me a hi or a good afternoon so that I know who you are. Hi Dalveer, good afternoon. Wonderful. Okay, let's begin. So today's topic that I'm going to revise with all of you is CBSE Term 2. For CBSE Term 2 exams is literature. Today we are going to cover the important aspects and the important questions that can be asked in the exam. I am going to be covering the important questions, the important aspects of the important lessons. Now the word being important over here. Now please understand, when I say important, I don't mean, hi Devansh, good evening, Mohammad Zaid, good evening, Anushka, don't be nervous bache. So all of you who are yet to give your exam, there are some people who have already joined me, there are some people who will join me later. Let me tell you one thing very clearly. And this I'm talking out of sheer experience. Okay, now 8 people have joined me. Wonderful. So you can send me a hi or a hello so that I know who you all are. There's no point getting nervous. Please remain calm. Whether you don't Devansh, yes, you wanted to ask me something. I remember you sending me a message on Telegram. It's also, but I'm so sorry I could not reply. I was not well. Yes, let's talk today about it, right? Let's talk today about it. Okay, so what I was saying is, please remain calm. Very important, remain calm, okay? And one thing that I keep telling everybody, all my students, and this is for all subjects, now you have your exams. So if you may not know grammar, you may not know literature properly, you may not know the writing section properly, you may not feel very confident. Yes, Devansh, I know you sent me a telegram message also, bache, don't worry, we'll talk about it. So there may be, one section or the other in which you don't feel very confident. My suggestion right now is focus on your strengths right now. All right, focus on your strengths and have faith in your hard work. This is extremely important. Let me write this down here. Please take a screenshot, put it on your phone, put it anywhere in your room where you can see it on an everyday basis. Mohammad Zayed, we are going to talk about that also, but let me first start this video. Yes, so what was I saying? Rely on your strengths, whatever your strengths may be for the exam. So it could be, it could be literature, it could be the reading section. Rely on your strengths and have faith in your hard work. You all have studied the whole year. Some of you have studied with me in the last 4-5 months, and I know you all have worked hard. So, if I have complete faith on you, don't worry. So, when you do these two things, when you rely on your strengths and when you have faith on your hard work, you will be able to score well. But what happens is nervousness, this tension, it kind of covers everything, yaar. पूरा आपका जो आपने मेहनत करी है ना वो उस पे पानी फेर देगा. There is no point. So try to do things that by doing those things you should remain calm. Don't think about. So if I know Anushka feels very nervous about grammar, Anushka, stop worrying about grammar. You know grammar. Tell yourself 1,000 times in a day that you know grammar. See, if I had been having this discussion with you in January, I would have told you still have time to focus on your studies. But right now, it is a mental game. If you people see IPL, if you watch Mahendra Singh Dhoni and you have seen that match with RCB, was it RCB? No, it was Rajasthan Royals, I think. The last week, on the last ball, he hit a 4. And in fact, any game of Mahendra Singh Dhoni, it's a mental game. Please understand, it's all in your head. So even, Anushka, if you're feeling nervous, I know that grammar is not something that you're very comfortable with. Please, let's just focus on our strengths right now. Have faith in your hard work. You will be able to do well. All right? You will be able to do well. Do not worry. If any day when you think that, oh God, I can't do this, please think about Mahendra Singh Dhoni if you can't think about anything else. Because his game, he focuses on hard work, but when he's on field, it's all a mental game for him. So let's kind of try and adapt to that strategy only. All right. Let's begin this lesson. Zaid, I'll answer your question. Don't worry. Hanji, Devansh, I'll speak to you on Telegram at night. I'll call you at night today. Zaid, okay, we will talk about it. We will talk about it, Zaid, don't worry. Okay, so in the literature marking scheme which has been given to us for the CBSE board, it's a 40 marks exam and it's a 2-hour exam, out of which 20 marks, almost 50 to 60% marks will be for literature. So those of you worrying about your results right now and how much are you going to score in English, literature is a very important aspect for you to score well in your exam. Literature is the key. If you can get good marks in literature, please understand 50% of your game is won. You will not have a problem at all. Right? Now, you can be asked short answer questions. You can be asked long answer questions. Short answer questions are, this is not, one second. This is not, these are 4 markers. These are not 8 marks. This is 4 markers. This is a typing mistake that I made. Yes. So you will get long answer questions for 4 marks and you will get short answer questions for 2 marks. So all in all, you can expect questions that are 2, 3 or 4 markers. Okay. And you can also expect extract-based questions. Extract-based questions means that they will give you some extract from the poem or the prose, and they will give you some extract and then they will ask you some questions. You have to answer that. Now, please understand, there is no demarcation that you will get short answer questions from this particular chapter and long answer questions from this particular poetry, or you will get more long answer questions from your supplementary reader and short answer questions from your main textbook. Nothing like that. All the chapters are important as such in terms of the long answer questions and short answer questions. So you may have short answer question and a long answer question from, let's say, Bholi, which is a lesson in your supplementary reader. You may have just short answer questions from your main textbook, but long answer questions, let's say, from the supplementary itself. So you may never know, which is why it is important that you know all the lessons properly. The ones that I'm going to do today are important. The ones that I'm going to do today are important, but that does not mean that the ones that are not given today in this, that we don't discuss in today's video, you do not do them at all. right? And this is one thing that goes for all subjects. Any faculty member, uh, any teacher from your school, from your coaching institutes will tell you that okay, these aspects and these questions are important, but that does not mean that you have to neglect the rest of the portion or the rest of the questions. Important means that you have to focus, you have to pay more attention to those questions and aspects, but that does not mean that you have to neglect the others. Okay, so we are going to have a look at the important aspects today and what kind of questions can be asked from those important aspects. All right. So Zaid is asking me, ma'am, can you talk me every day in English with us because my spoken English is very poor. Zaid, but how will we speak every day in English? I mean, how do I speak every day in English with you? That's the, I can do that in class, but how otherwise? So if there's anybody, so there's Zaid, Devansh, Anushka, Raja, Dalveer, Priyanka. Anybody else who's joined me, you can send me a hi or a hello in the chat box. So in the comment section, sorry, when I take classes on Zoom now, I've got used to saying chat box. This is comment section. All right, let's begin. So let's begin with the glimpses of India. In the glimpses of India, we have 3 short stories about Goa, Coorg, and Assam, and we understand different aspects of the traditions and the heritage and the culture of these 3 cities in Goa, cities in India. So we understand that different traditions, practices, value systems of these 3 places in our country. So your first basic question that can be asked you as a short answer question or a long answer question is that how do these things nourish us? See, just how you have a tree, and if you see a banyan tree sometimes, or if you see a peepal tree sometimes, you will realize that it is very big, right? And how can it become very big? How can it be so flourishing and green and with fruits and flowers is when it has very strong roots. So the traditions, the heritage and the values and the practices are the roots that nourish us. Without these roots, we will never be able to flourish. These roots are important for us to remain grounded. Otherwise, we will not have that sense of identity that we have right now. So you make sure that if you have this kind of a question, you must be able to talk about the small little aspects of each of the places. So for example, how the economy of Assam depends upon tea plantations, right? And then how the women were also working over there. How in Goa, you have the bread baking business and how it flourishes and how it has flourished over the years. And then how there's always a sweet bread when there is a big occasion like an engagement or a wedding. And then you can relate it with how sweets are very important for all the important occasions in our whole country, right? And then in Coorg, you talk about the hospitality and the bravery of that city, of the people of that city. So if it's a short answer question, of course you will have to manage all the aspects accordingly depending on the word limit. And if it's a long answer question, you will manage accordingly. Now, the second important aspect here is that the bakers in Goa who used to come to the, go from house to house to sell their breads, they were not only vendors, but they were also a friend and a companion. So you have to comment on that how they were just not vendors, but they were friends and companions too. So you learn. So I'm just going to tell you the small points, the important points that are necessary to answer these questions. So he was a friend because he used to sit and talk to all the children of that house, right? And he would come back and tell them all sorts of stories, to them. So, of course, that was very important. Then, the children used to learn a lot from them because he used to come, sit in the house, he used to wish the elders of the house a good morning or good evening, whatever. So, they learned all the giving respect to others through through this conversation, through this interaction that happened between the vendor and the elders of the family. See, please understand, he was when a lot of times when we go to the market, when we buy something, we give money to the person, to the shopkeeper, and we bring something home, right? That is also called as being a vendor. So it's a relationship that depends completely on money, because if you don't have the money, then they will not give you anything. But here, this person, and back in those days, the people of the house, the family members also used to not consider him to be just a baker. They used to give him equal respect. So that is why this baker, you can say that these bakers were not just vendors, but they were also friends and companion to those people. Then, of course, the two tales of discovery of tea, which is one is in China, and I think one is about India itself, right? So you can talk about the two tales of discovery of tea. And the next is, this question came in your sample, the last question came in your sample test paper, which says that Pranjal and Rajveer, the two people who were going to Assam in Glimpses of India, they shortlist Coorg and Goa for their next destination. Now, one person is keen on Coorg and the other person is keen on Pranjal. What you have to do is, you have to develop a conversation based on your understanding from the Glimpses of India. So, how Rajveer is going to convince Pranjal? See, here, this is not a debate. It's not as if you have to write whether Rajveer, whether both of them decide to go to Coorg or whether both of them will decide to go to Pranjal. What they are trying to understand here is that how much have you understood the lesson, so that you can talk about Coorg and Goa separately. Okay, that is what they are trying to understand. So, like I said, I'm discussing some aspects here from which questions can be asked. It does not mean the other aspects are not important, because you can be asked questions in any manner. Hi Shyam Kumar, hello. Zed, I think, for spoken English, what is important is that you start reading more and start, maybe watching more English movies. Zed, are you still there with us in the live? If you're there and if you're listening to me, please understand that English is more about what goes on here. If you think in Hindi and then speak in English, it's going to be a trouble. So what is important is that you must start reading more, so that you start thinking in English. Okay, then the next lesson comes is Sermons at Banaras. Again, a very heartfelt, heartwarming lesson. Out of this, the first one that I've mentioned here is the one that was asked in your sample question paper that CBSE had released in January. It says significance of Buddha's request for a handful of mustard seeds and the condition to it. I think this is very simple. And the next one is self-realization of Kissa Gautami. So if you all remember, Kissa Gautami had lost her son, a very young son, and she wanted, I've made a spelling mistake. Oh my God, this is off. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I make so many spelling mistakes, especially during, these YouTube sessions. Okay, so Kissa Gautami, if you remember, lost her son, in the story, at the beginning of the story, and she's going to everybody wanting her son to be revived. And then somebody sends her to Gautam Buddha, and then that is when he gives her this condition of this collecting this handful of mustard seeds and the condition to it. And when she goes from house to house, she realizes that there is no house in which death has never taken place. And she also realizes that, hi Vivek, hello, where is Rajveer today? So, she realizes that, in a lot of families, people had forgotten about their grief of losing a loved one. But because she asked them the question, and she was asking that, whether deaths have taken place in their family or not, she kind of revives that painful memory. So she realizes that how selfish she has been in that grief, and she cannot be selfish at any point of time, even in her grief. So that's a self-realization. You can be asked questions on that. Okay. Then the next one is Madam Rides the Bus. In Madam Rides the Bus, it is we are talking about what are the important things the first important thing is how Wali was different from the other children. Now, there are various aspects of Wali that are very different from the other children of her age. What are those aspects? Now, if you have younger brothers and sisters who are 8 or 10 years old, you realize that they can't sit still, right? They always want to do something. They are either playing, or they are eating something, or they are sleeping. But Wali loved to stand at her door and look at the street and just observe what is happening over there. She had that sense of peace and serene in her. She loved to observe people, which is not the case in most children of her age. Then, of course, her determination that she wanted to take that ride, and how determined she was, that she was not fearful of the fact that she was just 8 years old and she would have to take a bus ride. She would not tell anybody home. She was tell anybody in her family that she was taking that bus ride. She was not going with friends. She would take that ride all alone. So she was very determined in doing so. And then how else was she different? That she was able to save money for it. I mean, even when I was a kid, I remember that saving money was something that I couldn't do. So if I received even 10 rupees, I would go and buy a packet of chips from the market. But she manages to save money by not buying candies, by not spending on, snacks, or whatever things that the children her age group were buying. She did not steal money, but she saved the money that she used to get to take that bus ride. Okay. So these are the three aspects. So this question is most important, and this covers this question as well as this question. Akanksha. Okay. Zaid is saying, ma'am, I was a Hindi medium student, but now English, so my English is very poor. Akanksha Tiwari, what is Kelvin, by the way? I think we are studying English here, darling. What is Kelvin? Pe aa jao sab jaldi. Please tell me also. I don't know what Kelvin is. Is it some new app? I have no idea. Oh, Kelvin अच्छा पढ़ाता है. Okay, all right. If anybody wants to join Kelvin, please go ahead. I have no issues. We are doing what we do here. All right. Zaid, if you were from, I know that you were from Hindi medium, but now if you're on English medium, you're taking your exams in an English medium, you'll have to really work hard, and that is why you have to start reading more, because later on it's going to be a big problem. Anushka, if you have any problem, please reach out to me on Telegram. Bacha, if you have any doubts, please reach out to me on Telegram. In the app, go back to the video that we did. Go back to the video and the PPT of direct and indirect speech. I've given some rules. Follow those rules and you will be able to understand direct or indirect speech. If you still don't understand, please reach out to me on Telegram. Alright? Okay, now let's see the next lesson, which is the tale of Custard the Dragon. Now, of course, tale of Custard the Dragon was a very funny, it was a poetry that was supposed to be written just to have a light laugh, and it had a surprise ending, of course. In fact, when I read the poetry for the first time, it was very surprising for me also, because it was very surprising for me also that, this poem talks about a dragon that is very scared, that is very shy. So that is why it was a little surprising, and it was a little amusing also. Amusing means funny. Now, what is Akanksha? If you want to go and, learn things from Kelvin, please go. But I think this comment section is not meant for all this. If anybody wants to go and, yes, Zaid, I can do that. If anybody wants to go and join Akanksha Tiwari with Kelvin, please go ahead. But Akanksha, I think if you like this teacher better, you should go there and study, na, bacha? Zaid, I can do that. Don't, no worries at all. Alright, so this question from the tale of Custard the Dragon has been taken from the sample test paper that CBSE had released in January. It says a ballad includes the telling of a tale. Tale means a story. I'll write it here. Tale means a story, okay, which has a surprise ending. So ballet includes the telling of a tale, the telling of a story with a surprise ending. What do we have to do? We have to explain this. By using the evidence from the poem. Now, what is the surprise ending? The surprise ending is that how the dragon Custard, he defeats the pirate, and he shows bravery, even though in the entire tale, in the entire poem, he is, shown to be a very shy character. He's shown to be a person he's shown to be a character who's always scared of everything. But in the end, at the end of the poem, he manages to, it's okay, Zaid, it's absolutely all right. What he manages to do is that he manages to kill the pirate. Now, what is important here is that you pick up specific lines, and through those lines, you are able to explain the evidences that help us to understand how this poem has a surprise ending. Okay, so pick up, I'm going to write this over here. You can take a screenshot or make a note yourself. Pick up various lines and explain how Custard okay. So I hope this much is clear. Anushka, have you understood what to do? Anushka, bache, have you understood what to do? Okay. Priyanka, Raja, Dalveer, Devansh, Vivek, if you have any doubts, please keep asking me. Please keep asking me if you have any doubts here. Alright, the next one is the poetry called Amanda. Now, of course, so I'm not going into the details of the poetry, but I will tell you about what are the important aspects and questions. Alright, Anushka, what are the aspects and important aspects and questions from this particular poetry? So the first is that whenever Amanda's mother would start scolding her, would start nagging her, she would keep quiet and she would, start thinking of another world. In that world, sometimes she was a mermaid, sometimes she was Rapunzel, so now, and she was always alone in that world. In fact, when she says that she wanted to be a Rapunzel, she wanted to be in that castle, but she never wanted to let her hair open because she did not want somebody to come and take her away from that castle. So her world is her escape from her mother. Amanda's world is her escape from that scolding and nagging that she experiences on an everyday basis. Okay. Now, there is also an aspect which is important where the attitude of mother comes into picture. Now, this mother is always scolding her. You can be asked a question whether that is right or wrong, So, did Amanda need that scolding? Why did she keep scolding her to the point that it became nagging? So, the attitude of both of them is very important. So, one theory says that the mother was doing all of this because she was a mother and she knew that Amanda needed to be more disciplined, she needed to be more hygienic, and because Amanda used to not take care of her studies or she used to not take care of her hygiene, she used to not sit properly, she didn't have a good posture. That is why her mother kept saying these things again and again, right? So Amanda somewhere was quite, strong. She was a strong-headed girl. She did not listen to anybody, which is why her mother was doing that. So that was Amanda's attitude. But was the mother's attitude right? Because in what we know in the poetry is that her mother used to always scold her. She used to always nag her, but she was to not make her explain anything. Maybe if she would have explained things to her, then Amanda would have listened to her, right? So both these attitudes you can be asked questions on. You can be asked questions on Amanda's attitude. You can be asked questions on the mother's attitude as well. In fact, in the CBSE sample paper, who is Amanda? Amanda is the central character of the poem Amanda. It's a poem in class 10th, CBSE. In the last question that I've mentioned here is something that came in your CBSE sample paper. It says, comment on the tone of the speaker when she says, will you please look at me when I'm speaking to you, Amanda. Who is the speaker? The speaker is Amanda's mother. And we can understand that the tone of the mother is negative. The tone of the mother is that she's angry. You know, she's irritated by Amanda's behavior. So you have to comment on it, and you also have to give reasons. So what will be the reason? The reason is because Amanda is not disciplined. She does not listen to her mother. She does not have good habits, which is why the mother is irritated with her. Okay. So these are the important aspects from which you can be asked questions. I am repeating myself again. First is Amanda's world is her escape. Okay. And why is it so? You can be asked question on Amanda's attitude. You can also be asked questions on Amanda's mother's attitude. That is also equally important. Then you can be asked questions in this form. Comment on the tone of the speaker when she says, will you please look at me when I'm speaking to you, Amanda. So see, the aspects that I have mentioned are the important aspects. If you know these aspects, then you will be able to answer any sort of question that is given to you, because the wordings of the question can always differ. So knowing these important aspects is extremely important. Okay. All right. 1 second. You can also be asked about why did Amanda want to be Rapunzel or the mermaid. You know, you can be asked questions like that also, very specific. So why Rapunzel? Why the mermaid? You can be asked questions like that also. You can be asked a generic question. Generic means a more general question that, you know, why was Amanda's world her escape? So you can be asked these questions. All right, let's look at the next one. So the next one is animals. Now in the animals, we know that animals is so you know, in this poem, we know that Walt Whitman, the person who wrote this poem, is somewhere he's against humans. Okay, and the most important aspect then becomes is why is he against humans, right? So there are a lot. So your questions are based on this itself. The first question is a very important question. It says, justify how this poem is a criticism of mankind and its ways. It's a criticism of mankind and its ways. So in this question, we already know that mankind has more vices than virtues. You write this down. Mankind has more vices than virtues. What is vices? Negative traits, negative qualities. What are virtues? Good qualities, good habits. So vices negative, virtues are positive. Now, when we read this question, we know that the poet already knows that mankind has more vices than virtues. But how do you justify? Justify something when you prove it right. Okay. See, there are 2-3 things that I would like to tell you here. One, you know, usually you have answers like explain with reasons. Sometimes you are asked to comment on something. Sometimes you are asked to justify something. And then later on you will see you will be asked to counter something. Now what do these words mean? These are very important in literature. Explain, you understand that there is something that is given in the chapter and you have to explain it. So for example, if it is asked that why did Amanda want to be the mermaid. Why did Amanda want to be a mermaid? Explain. So you will simply explain. You will give reasons on why she wanted to be a mermaid. Okay, number one. Second is comment. Comment means somewhere it is asking you your opinion. You have to comment on something. So you might be asked that comment on Amanda's behavior. Wait, you can be asked about comment on Amanda's behavior. So you will write, you will explain whether it was right or wrong according to you. Please keep that in mind. According to you, whether it is right or wrong. Yes, you know. So how else can I tell you? For example, they can ask you, yeah, for example, Bholi's lesson, yeah, when we will discuss Bholi, we'll take this up again. Bholi, at the end, she calls off her marriage. You can be asked to comment on it. So you have to explain why you think that was the right decision or that was the wrong decision. But it is your opinion, not what is given in the chapter, your opinion. Okay? And then when you're asked to justify, you have to prove something right. So here, because, and now here in this question, they're asking you with reference to the poem. So with reference to the poem, how are animals better than humans? So they do not complain, they do not have grudges, they are happier, they are self-content, there is no negativity, they do not comment on other people's deeds, they do not keep talking about what is one's duty towards God. So that is why the poet is convinced that animals are better than humans, and that is why he wants to go and live with them also. So in fact, both the questions that I have given, was Amanda's behavior right? Well, not exactly. So children at that age, we all go through something like this. Yes, Priyanka, I understood your question. So children of that age need to be disciplined, and which is why we have parents and teachers who keep telling us right or wrong, and we have to listen to them. That is our duty as children. But Amanda used to not listen to her mother. She used to just escape all of this by, daydreaming. So her attitude was also not right, because if she had listened to her mother would not have nagged her. I hope that's clear, Priyanka. Even in our own homes, nagging will only happen if you don't change your habits. If you change your habits, the nagging will stop. Alright? So, yes, justify, but you have to justify based on, coming back to animals here, you have to justify, but justify based on the poem. So you will have to pick up instances from the poem and explain how, this poem is a criticism of mankind and its ways. Alright? Okay. Priyanka, you don't have to thank me. It's alright, darling. Tell me, text is better or summary is better? With regard to what? They are completely different. Oh, with regard to your lesson, of course, the entire lesson is better, not the summary. Summary you only do towards the end. Summary you never do in the beginning. You only do towards the end when you know what will happen in the chapter and you're merely revising. Okay? Alright. So, yes. So, both the questions that I have mentioned for animals are the same. Now, of course, what is counter? Counter is, I'll tell you when we discuss the Bholi, I'll tell you the meaning of counter then. The necklace, again, very interesting lesson. The first one is briefly state how Matilda invited a dreadful life of necessity into her family. If you know the answer to this question, you know the entire story. But here you do not have to write the entire story. You have to write about Matilda's nature that invited this dreadful life of necessity. So she was a girl who always dreamt of a rich, luxurious life. She believed that she was meant for luxury, but she never wanted to do any hard work for it, and she was not born. You can use this line, Matilda wasn't born with a golden spoon. The meaning of this sentence is that she was not born into luxury. If she needed something, yes, that is what it is. You can't escape hard work. आप हार्ड वर्क नहीं एस्केप कर सकते जैद, और कोई भी चीज नहीं समझ सकते विदाउट इट. हाँ, लास्ट मिनट रिविजन, yes, please go through the summary, but if you have time, go through the entire lesson. So Matilda wasn't born in a family that was rich. She was born into a family of clerks, and she got married into a family of clerks. So Matilda was not born rich. She could not afford that luxury. She could not afford those dreamy parties, So if she wanted something, she had to work hard for it. But unfortunately, she did not even believe in hard work, because she just believed that everything will be given to her in a platter. Everything will be given to her on a platter. Ma'am, the next list chapter, हाँ, क्योंकि I have taken it from the CBSE sample paper, no, बच्चे? I have mentioned this, okay, I actually forgot to mention this, question is from the sample paper, because sample paper is what we are relying on, no, Anushka? So I picked up this, and the others that I have written, the other that I am going to discuss is apart from the sample paper, okay? Sample paper, only this question was given. I am going to discuss the other aspects also. And then, when she was invited, so she had a hardworking husband. When she was invited for that party, she wanted to pretend. She was a pretentious lady. The word being pretentious here. Pretentious are people who do a lot of show off. So she wanted to do a lot of show off in the party. She wanted to pretend as if she comes from a rich background, and she wanted to wear an expensive dress with matching shoes and jewelry. And that is what this attitude of hers was something that brought misery into her life. Anushka, I hope that answers your question. Okay. Now, the other thing that is extremely important in the necklace is role of Amanda's husband. Now, on the face of it, he seems to be a man who really loves his wife, right? He loves his wife, but is he a wise person? No, because if he was wise, he would not have yielded to Amanda's unnecessary, desires. He would not have yielded to them. Yielded to them means that he would not have given in to them. So what did he do? He had 18,000 rupees. He gave that, or whatever. He had a total amount of 18,000 rupees that was given to him by his grandfather. He gave away that. He had saved some money to buy a gun for himself so that he could go out for hunting with his friends and colleagues. He gave her that. Why? Because the wife wanted to pretend at a party. Arey Baba, what have I written? Thank you, Anushka. Sorry for the mistake again. Ab theek hai? This is Matilda. Anushka, is that okay now? And thank you so much. Thank you. Priyanka, Anushka, Zaid, Devansh, Vivek, I hope you all are being able to understand whatever I'm teaching you. Alright. So what was the role of Matilda's husband here? Matilda's husband was a loving husband, but he wasn't a wise man. Otherwise, he would not have yielded to Matilda's desires, which had no basis absolutely. It was not as if Matilda wanted to help 100 people or feed 100 people with that money. Yes, she just wanted to pretend at a party. One party, and she spent so much of money, right? And because she lost that necklace, because of that, they invited so much trouble. So he wasn't a wise man. So, you can be asked a question on role of her husband in all of this. Okay. In fact, later on also, when they lose the necklace, instead of actually this is both of them. Instead of actually coming up, telling the truth to their friends that they have lost the necklace, they told her a lie, right? And then 10 years later they realized what the truth was, and in that 10 years they invited a life of necessity. They invited a life of suffering. They had to undergo such a lot of transformation in those 10 years to repay everything back. Okay, so he also plays a key role. Matilda's husband also plays a key role in this lesson, where if he had not given in to her baseless desires, then they would not have lived a dreadful life of necessity. Okay, but depends on the question what they are asking you. If it's the first question, briefly state how Matilda invited a dreadful life of necessity, you only talk about Matilda. But if they have asked you about role of Matilda's husband, then you talk about Matilda's husband, not Matilda herself. Alright. Now, let's quickly go through these. Hack driver, of course, the most important, the two most important aspects of the hack driver are that the hack driver, so the first question I've taken from the CBSE sample paper, it says the hack driver successfully trapped the narrator in his web of words. So if you remember, when he met the hack driver, he was very cheerful and he was a great conversationalist, right? Which is why he got trapped. He did not understand the dubious ways of the hack driver himself, right? So that is the meaning of web of words. And the second, if you remember the chapter, he says that there was a lady in the church who was singing very loudly, and then he told him this small tale where he says that whenever she's in debt, she starts singing very loudly. So all of those things, and how they just laugh on this thing. So all those are places where he traps the narrator. Now, is the narrator innocent or Oliver Lutkins smarter? Well, Oliver Lutkins is smarter. And you will pick up instances from the lesson itself to prove that Oliver Lutkins was smarter. Okay? So how he misled him, how his cheerful demeanor is how you present yourself to the world. So how his demeanor was very cheerful, he was very friendly, and on the face of it very helpful. So all of this, and then how he spoke and whatever he told the narrator about New Mullions, and whatever he told him about the people who lived in New Mullions, or the small story that he tells about how Oliver Lutkins' mother is 9 feet tall and how she looks like a monster. All of those things together, we understand that Oliver Lutkins was smarter than the narrator being innocent. And your last one is Bholi, of course. So the first question I've taken from your CBSE sample paper. It says Bholi's parents were worried about Bholi's marriage since this is not from the sample paper. No. The first question is not from the sample paper. Bholi's parents were worried about Bholi's marriage since she was good looking. She wasn't good looking. Counter this belief and give reasons for the same. Now, I was telling you, right, that we'll understand the meaning of counter this belief. Now, what is the belief? The belief is that since she wasn't good looking, it would be difficult for her to get married. We must have heard this in our families. I think, the older people in our family tend to say this to most of the girls, that, oh, you're not good looking, or you are of a certain skin color, so it will be very difficult for you to get married. Since she wasn't good looking, Bholi's parents also thought the same thing. This is the belief that since she's not good looking, it will be difficult for her to get married. How do you counter this? You explain the opposite, that marriages are a successful marriage is not based on good looks, because we can lose our good looks because of a disease, because of an unfortunate accident, and of course because of aging as well. So successful marriages are based on understanding, they are based on trust, they are based on mutual respect and love for each other. So you have to give reasons against the belief. Counter means to give reasons against what is given there, in the lesson. So I hope all of you have understood. I hope all of you have understood the meaning of counter this belief. Anushka, Priyanka, have you understood? All right. Then the second thing that is important is the unusual reason for Bholi to go to school. What was the unusual reason? So her parents were never interested. Was never interested that she goes to school, but because they thought that she's of no good sitting at home, she won't get married, so then might as well send her to school, right? Then the next thing, very important, is the role of the teacher. So how the teacher actually shaped Bholi's actual personality, how she transformed her, how her warm words of encouragement gave confidence to Bholi, and how she transformed into this how she transformed from this stammering, underconfident girl to a girl, who was confident and who took a stand for herself, and who actually managed to turn things around for her, not only for her family but also her village. So that was the role of the teacher. In fact, if you remember the lesson, at the end it says that her teacher felt the same satisfaction that an artist feels when he or she has completed her piece, right? And they look at it in amazement and appreciation. So you can mention that as well. Now, the next two questions are very important, okay? And they are interrelated. So Bholi's actual name is Sulekha, okay? And Sulekha means understanding of the written word, okay? So why is Sulekha called Bholi? And so at the beginning of the lesson, if you read the lesson at the beginning, she's compared to a cow. And Bholi means innocent. Cow is also synonymous to being innocent. So why Sulekha is called Bholi? But towards the end, it's only towards the end that we address this character as Sulekha and not as Bholi, because she has been able to, she's not as innocent and dumb-minded that people used to think that she is. So she isn't that girl anymore. Second, she has become literate. Because of that, she has become confident. And this literacy, this understanding of words that she has right now, has also given her confidence about her own life. That she can lead a life on her own without the help of any man in her life. Okay? So Anushka, Priyanka, I hope this one's clear to both of you. What about Zaid? What about Raja, Dalveer? I hope all of you have understood. Anushka, I have not yet received your reply. Priyanka, I haven't received your reply also. And the last question I have taken from the CBSE sample paper. Parents play a crucial role in the upbringing of their children. Critically examine the parents of Bholi, highlighting their impact on their children's lives. Now, in the CBSE sample paper, this was critically examine the parents of Bholi and E-Bright. But I mentioned here only Bholi because we were talking about Bholi. So we all know that parents do play a crucial role in our upbringing, right? Now, whether we get an adjusting environment, we get an understanding environment, a positive environment, our personality will be completely different versus an environment where we are subjected to a lot of disrespect, we are subjected to a lot of physical or mental abuse, right? Now, Bholi had a completely different environment when she was growing up, whereas E-Bright, in the making of the scientist, had a completely different environment. Bholi, despite the fact that she had so many brothers and sisters and parents to look after her, and they were doing well financially also, they did not take care of her in the right manner. Whereas in the case of E-Bright's mother, she filled in the absence of the father also, the father who had died when E-Bright was in 3rd grade. And then how it shapes their personalities, how much struggle they have to go through, that becomes completely different. So you have to critically examine, and you have to examine and contrast. Contrast means you have to talk about both the kinds of parents and what effect it has on these children, okay, and their personalities and their life in general. All right. So with this, I come to the end of today's video. If you have any questions, please connect with me on Telegram. You can even comment over here and I will get back to you. Anushka, specifically for you, bache, you have a doubt in grammar, please connect with me on Telegram. And before you ask me any doubts, I would request you to go and watch the video of direct and indirect speech, where I've given a lot of examples. I've also given a lot of rules, so you understand direct and indirect speech also. And for all of you, again the same thing. Have faith in your hard work and rely on your strengths. Now with your exam, just being day after, it's just a mental game now. It's not about how much you know and how much you don't know. It's just a mental game right now. And please believe me when I say this. So I'm going to wind up today's video. If you have any doubts, like I said, reach out to me. Before you go, please like this video. If you have liked this video, share it with your friends so that they can also receive any benefit or help from Safalta School. Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you get notified every time we go live. Alright, thank you so much. Bye-bye and I will see you later. Bye.